in this game. All right, let's go to Kansas City next. J-Mac, give me one reason why the Texans and CJ Stroud can upset the Chiefs.
It has to be their defense. When you watch the performance they had last week, the amount of times 9 that they hit Justin Herbert, the amount of times they sacked him 4, and the interceptions 4 of plucking the ball out of the air, it is going to take that type of performance for them to be able to keep up with Patrick Mahomes and this Kansas City Chiefs offense.
Let me show you a number on Patrick Mahomes that we had yesterday in D's notes that just set everything off. Patrick Mahomes.
Good Lord.
Right, Harry? Right? I mean, it's just ridiculous. In the divisional round of the playoffs, Patrick Mahomes is 6-0. He's thrown 13 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. It is the most wins without a loss by any quarterback in any playoff round in NFL history. So no one could be crazy enough to pick the Houston Texans to win this game, could they? Cindy, can you put this picture up on the screen? No one in their right mind.
Oh! Upset alert!
J-Mac.
Upset alert!
Upset alert. Texans, talk to me.
I said it. The defense, and I think on the offensive side, you just said what's been different about these. We were talking about Jayden Daniels. What name did you mention?
CJ Stroud.
CJ Stroud. You got a quarterback. Who's he going to throw the ball to on the outside? Nico Collins. I think they're going to have to move Nico around and find the mismatches that they can. But I think it starts with this defense. Yes, I know these teams played already. CJ Stroud had 2 interceptions in that game that were uncharacteristic for him. But they have to be able to get Mahomes on the ground. That is the big difference with Justin Herbert. He doesn't run as much as Mahomes. I think if they can pull that off, they have a chance to win this game.
I just want to point out something about the Texans and the Commanders coming into this weekend. Both, I think it's true for both, they both are coming off wild card wins.
Yeah.
They're both facing teams on a bye. Now, the Chiefs may hit the ground running. The Lions may hit the ground running as well. But so often, we see a team off a bye struggle to get going early on, giving the Texans and the Commanders a little bit of an option to get going.
I hear y'all. Convince yourselves there.
I also would say
I hear y'all.
Well, I mean, J-Mac, I got a lot of credit for
I hear you.
man.
Convince yourselves.
The gumption to have the courage to do that one. Tip of the hat. I don't hate it, though. 2 things. Number 1, I think, can Houston score enough?
Yep.
Can they score 17?
Yep.
You know, I would throw at number 13 a lot if I was Houston's offense. And I also think, to Shefty's point with Washington and Houston, for all these teams looking for these head coaches, and they got these young quarterbacks, they're both defensive-minded head coaches. It doesn't have to be this offensive-minded obsession and only quarterback thought process.
But hold on. But let me also say this. And D'Amico Ryans is phenomenal and could run companies, and Dan Quinn is a culture builder. But they also drafted quarterbacks at 2 that have made a huge difference.
I know, but you know, my point is, like, it doesn't have to be the offensive.
Yeah, I see your point. I see your point.
And let me just very quickly take you back to December 21st. That's when these teams played on that Saturday. That game it would be tied in the 3rd quarter, except that Houston misses an extra point when Tank Dell catches that touchdown. And the wind came completely out of Houston's sails in that moment when Tank Dell suffered that devastating injury that we all saw. Remember, CJ Stroud is literally crying. That game is over in that moment. That game is tied in the 3rd quarter between these 2 teams in a game Kansas City needed to win. This did not appear to be a one-sided matchup when they played each other, and that's only a month ago.
Houston's defense is custom-made to handle Kansas City's offense and to attack it. They got the edge rushers, and they can play strapped-up man coverage. So it is a good matchup in that regard. I just think it comes down to, can they be enough on offense to keep them in the game?
I'm not ready to pick. All right, we're back on Get Up, bottom of the hour. Our next game is called One Reason Why. Harry, I'll start with you. The Commanders are a pretty significant underdog in Detroit this weekend. Give me one reason why Washington can win this game Saturday.
It's because of their young quarterback that's red hot right now, Jayden Daniels. You look at how phenomenal he's been on 4th down this season, 3rd downs. When the game is on the line, he's been clutch. But also, he's so cool, calm, and collected. He's poised in the biggest moments. And when the game is on the line, you can count on this young man making the play for the Washington Commanders to advance and move forward.
I mean, the number on this game is 9. It is Detroit -9, and I might be very significantly tempted to take the points. But seeing Washington win the game, tell me, I mean, Jayden Daniels, if he does this, then we got to go well beyond. Yep. He's already got the greatest rookie season of any quarterback of all time. Winning a playoff game, he's already got that.
Yeah.
But think about the conversation we'll be having here on Monday, Dan, if Jayden Daniels goes into Detroit and beats the team that basically has been the best team in the sport all year.
Yeah, I would say as an organization, it would be one of the great turnarounds organizationally with everyone attached to it that we've seen maybe in the NFL. I mean,
absolutely.
Because of the backstory and the history. What Jayden Daniels has done is truly remarkable, but it's also Dan Quinn. It's also Cliff Kingsbury. It's a little bit like the cast-offs. You're not good enough, Dan Quinn. You're not good enough, Cliff Kingsbury. The two things I'll be fascinated about with this game. Number one, if the over-under was 2.5 of punts in totality, I would take the under. I don't think there's going to be a lot of punts. I think it's an offensive game. I think both of these teams love to go for it on fourth down. They're both 1 and 2 and going for it on fourth down and being successful in doing so. Can Washington's defense keep them in the game? I think that's the big challenge. Can they just keep them in the game to give Jayden enough opportunity?
Can I ask a question to someone who has made the playoffs multiple times on both sides of things? One when you were expected to win and one when you weren't, maybe. I hear people say teams are playing with house money. They can play loose, that kind of thing. I mean, no one expects Washington to win this game. They've already so greatly exceeded any expectation anyone realistically had for this team. Is that a real thing? Like, it's always felt to me, I never played, but I feel like if I'm in this game, I want to win it just as badly as the other guy does. Is there a real thing to playing with house money?
It's a different level of pressure when you look at the Lamar Jackson.
Well, the Lions.
Yes,
talk about
but I'm just saying in general, when you talk about some of these quarterbacks and some of these teams, you come into the season with such high expectations. There's a pressure that comes along with that. For the Commanders, you don't have that. But once you get in the dance, you better believe you're in it to win it. You're not saying, hey, well, if we lose, we had a great season. And when you talk about Jayden Daniels, we talk about the fourth quarter comebacks. We talk about all of the things he's been able to do. But I think it's the belief that he puts within this team and within this organization. Being a defender, when you don't have a quarterback, a guy at that position that you believe can go win the game, it is a deflating feeling when you give up a score. When you know no matter what point we're in the game, we still have a chance as long as there's time on the clock and we can get the ball back to Jayden Daniels, that changes the way a defense plays and the way everybody in an organization goes about the way they're doing it. And that was a moment.
That was the moment.
For the Commanders,
that's the moment that changed everything.
And you look at each other and you're like, we got a shot.
And then the game against the Eagles
and then he continues to do it week after week after week. They get a team and you're like, well, if Jayden can beat this guy, well, if he can do it against this team, and he continues to do it.
Think about it last week against Tampa when Todd Bowles kicks the field goal to make it 20-20. You realize, oh, Jayden gets the ball back with 3 minutes, and he only needs a field goal?
And he's a rookie, and
game
we're
over.
already saying that.
It truly felt, that game was over.
Let me say this, y'all. I had the luxury in two different type of quarterbacks of playing with a guy named Matt Ryan, who had the nickname Matty Ice. And there were times where it didn't matter if it was 13 seconds on the clock, if it was 49 seconds on the clock. If we got that football and we was at our own 1 yard line, we had belief that we were going to go down and kick a field goal or get a touchdown to win the football game. Every single time we had it.
I want to remind you that no quarterback has done what Jayden Daniels has done this year with 6 comebacks with 10 seconds or less in the game or in overtime. Here's the stat. We've not seen that by a rookie starting quarterback since 1950. So nobody has ever done what Jayden Daniels has done. He has already built up this belief. We saw last year